taken out of the earth, and brass is molten out of stone. He setteth an end to the darkness, and stretcheth out all perfection, the stones of darkness and the shadow of death. The flood breaketh out from the inhabitant, even the waters forgotten of the foot. They are dried up, they are gone away from men. As for the earth, out of it cometh bread. Under it is turned up as it were fire. The stones of it are the place of sapphires. It hath dust of gold. Wow. There is a path which no fowl knoweth, which the vulture's eye hath not seen. The lion whelps and have not trodden it, nor the fierce lion passed by it. He putteth forth his hand upon a rock. He overturneth the mountains by roots. He cutteth out the rivers among the rocks, and his eye seeth every precious thing. He bindeth the floods from the overflowing, and the thing that is hid bringeth he forth to the light. But where shall the wisdom be found? Where is the place of understanding? Man knoweth not the price thereof, neither is it found in the land of the living. The depth says, It is not in me. The sea saith, It is not with me. It cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. It cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or the sapphire. The gold and the crystal cannot equal it, and the exchange of it shall not be for jewels of fine gold, nor no mention shall be made of coral or pearls, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not equal it, neither shall be valued with pure gold. Whence then cometh wisdom? And where is the place of understanding? Seeing it is hid from the eyes of all living, and kept close from the fowls of the air. Destruction and death say, We have heard with our ears. God understandeth the way thereof, and he knoweth the place thereof. For he looked at the ends of the earth, and seeth under the whole heaven to make the weight of the winds. He weigheth the waters by measure. When he made a decree for the rain, and the way of the lightning and thunder, then he did see it, and declare it, and prepared it, and searched it out. And unto men he said, Behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom. To depart from evil is understanding. Hold on, wait a moment. ちょっと待って。One second, buddy. Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, Oh, that I were made in months past, as in the days when God preserved me, when his candle shined upon my head, and when by his light I walked through darkness, as I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of God was upon my tabernacle, when the Almighty was yet within me, when my children were about me, when I washed my steps with butter, and the rock poured me out rivers of oil, when I went out to the gate through the city, when I prepared my seat in the seat. Young men saw me and hid themselves, and the aged arose and stood up. The princes refrained talking and laid their hand on their mouths. The nobles held their peace, and their tongue cleaved to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard me, then it blessed me, and when the eye saw me, it gave witness to me. Because I delivered the poor that cried, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help him. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing out of joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me, and judgment was as a robe and a diadem. I was eyes to the blind, and feet I was to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and the cause which I knew not I searched out. I break the jaws of the wicked, and pluck the spoil out of his teeth. Then I said, I shall die in my nest, and I shall multiply my days as the sand. My root was spread out by the waters, and dew lay all night upon my branch. My glory was flesh in me, and my bow was renewed in my hand. Unto me men gave ear, and waited, and kept silence at my counsel. After my words they spake not again, and my speech dropped upon them. And they waited for me as for the rain. They opened their mouths wide as for the latter rain. I laughed on them. They believed it not, and the light of my countenance they cast not down. I chose out of their way, and sat chief, and dwelt as a king in the army, as one that comforteth the mourners. But now they are, but now they that are younger and than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yeah, whereunto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in the former time desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the brushes, juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, and in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed. Under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, children and base men. They were viler than the earth. And now I am their song. I am their byword. They abhor me. They flee far from me. And spare not to spit in my face. Because they have as loosed my cord and afflict me, they have also let loose the bridle before me. Upon my right hand rise the youth. They push away my feet, and they raise up against me as the ways of their destruction. They mar my paths. They set forward my calamity. They have no helper. They come upon me as a wild breaking in of waters. In the desolation they rolled themselves upon me. Terrors are turned upon me. They pursue my soul as the wind, and my welfare passeth away as a cloud. And now my soul is poured out upon me. The days of my affliction that have taken hold upon me. My bones are pierced in me in the night season, and my sinews take no rest. By great force of my disease is my garment changed. It bindeth me about as a collar of my coat. He hath cast me into the mire. I am become like dust and ashes. I cry unto thee, and thou dost not hear me. I stand up, and thou regardest me not. Thou art become cruel to me. With thy strong hand thou opposest thyself against me. Thou liftest me up to the wind. Thou causest me to ride upon it, and dissolvest my substance. For I know that thou wilt bring me to death, and to the house appointed for all living. Howbeit he will not stretch out his hand to the grave, though they cry in his destruction. Did I not weep for him that I was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? When I looked for the good, then evil came unto me, and when I waited for the light, there came darkness. My bowels boiled and rested not. The days of my affliction prevented me. I went mourning without the sun. I stood up and I cried in the congregation. I am a brother to dragons, and a companion to owls. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. My harp is also turned into mourning, and my organ into the voice of them that weep. I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? For what portion of God is there from above? And what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Is it not the destruction to the wicked, and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity? Doth not he see my ways, and count all my steps? If I have not walked in vanity, or if my foot hath ceased to deceit, let me be weighed in an even balance, that God may know my integrity. If my step hath turned out of the way, and my heart walked after my eyes, and if any blot hath cleaved to mine hands, then let me sow, and let another eat. Let my offspring be rooted out. If mine heart had been deceived by a woman, if I have laid wait at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind unto another, and let others bow down upon her. For this is an heinous crime. It is an iniquity to be punished by the judges. For if it is a fire that consumeth to destruction, and it would root out all mine in increase. If I despise the cause of my manservant or of my maidservant when they contended with me, what then shall I do when God riseth up? When he visiteth, what shall I answer him? Did not he that made me in the womb make him? And did not one fashion us in the womb? If I have withheld the poor from their desire, or have caused the widow to fail, or have eaten my morsel myself alone, and the fatherless hath not eaten thereof. For from my youth he was brought up within me with a father, and I have guided her from my mother's womb. If I have seen any perish for want of clothing, or any poor without covering, if the loins have not blessed me, and if you are not warmed with the fleece of my sheep, if I have lifted up my hands against the fatherless, when I saw my help in the gate, then let mine arm fall from my shoulder blade, and mine arm be broken from the bone. For destruction from God was a terror to me, and by reason of his highness I could not endure. If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, thou art my confidence, if I have rejoiced because my wealth was great, and because mine hand has gotten much, if I beheld the sun when it shined, or the moon walking in brightness, and my heart hath been secretly enticed, or my mouth has kissed my hand, this also were an iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I should have denied the God that is above. If I rejoiced in destruction of him that hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found him, neither have I suffered my mouth to sin by wishing a curse to his soul. If men of my tabernacle said not, oh, that we had of his flesh, we cannot be satisfied. The stranger did not lodge in the street, but I opened my doors to the traveler. If I covered my transgressions as Adam, by hiding mine iniquity in my bosom, did I fear a great multitude, or did I contempt of families terrify me, that I kept silence and went not out of the door? Oh, that one would hear me. Behold, my desire is that the Almighty would answer me, and that mine adversary had written a book. Surely I would take upon my shoulder and bind it as a crown to me. I would declare unto him the number of my steps. As a prince would I go near unto him. If a land cry against me, or that furrows likewise thereof complain, if I had eaten the fruits thereof without mercy, or have caused the owners thereof to lose their life, yet thistles grow instead of wheat, and crocodile instead of barley. The words of Job are ended. So these three men ceased to answer Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then he was kindled by the wrath of Elihu the son of Barachel, and Buzite of the kindred of Ram. Against Job was his wrath kindled, because he justified himself rather than God. Also against his three friends was his wrath kindled, because they had found no answer, and yet had condemned Job. Now Elihu had waited until Job had spoken, because they were elder than he. When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men, then his wrath was kindled. And Elihu the son of Barachel and Buzite answered and said, I am young, and ye are very old. Wherefore I was afraid, and durst not show you mine opinion. I said, days would speak, and multitude of ears should teach wisdom. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. Therefore I said, hearken to me, I will also show mine opinion. Behold, I waited for your words, and I gave ear to your reasons, whilst ye searchest out what to say. Yeah, I attended unto you, and behold, there was none of you that convinced Job, or that answered his words, lest ye should say, why have found out wisdom? God thrusteth him down, not man. Now he that not directeth his words against me, neither will I answer him with your speeches. They were amazed, they answered no more, they left off speaking. When I had waited, for they spake not, but stood still, and answered no more. I said, I will answer also my part. I also will show mine opinion, for I am full of matter, the spirit within me constraineth me. Behold, my belly is as wine which hath no vent, it is ready to burst out like new bottles. I will speak, that I may be refreshed. I will open my lips and answer. Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person, neither let me give flattering titles unto man, for I know not to give flattering titles. In so doing, my Maker would soon take me away. Wherefore, Job, I pray thee, hear my speeches, and hearken to all my words. Behold, now I have opened my mouth, my tongue hath spoken in my mouth. My words shall be of the uprightness of my heart, and my lips shall utter knowledge clearly. The Spirit of God hath made me, and breath of the Almighty hath given me life. If thou canst answer me, set thy words in order before me, stand up. Behold, I am according to thy wish in God's stead. I also formed out of the clay. Behold, my terror shall not make me afraid, neither shall my hand be heavy upon thee. Surely thou hast spoken in my hearing, and I have heard the voice of thy words, saying, I am clean without transgression, I am innocent, neither is there iniquity in me. Behold, he findeth occasions against me, counteth me for his enemy. He putteth my feet in the stocks, he maketh all my paths. Behold, in this thou art not just. I will answer thee that God is greater than man. Why dost thou strive against him? For he giveth not account of any of his matters. For God speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth not. In a dream, in a vision of night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, and slumberings upon bed, then he openeth the ears of men, and seeth in their instruction. He may withdraw man from his purpose, and hide pride from man. He keepeth back his soul from the pit, and his sword from perishing by the sword. He chastened also with pain upon his bed, and with multitude of his bones were strong pain, so that his life abhorreth bread, and his soul dainty meat. His flesh consumed away, that it cannot be seen, and his bones that were not seen seen stick out. Yeah, his soul draweth near unto the grave, and his life to the destroyers. If there be a messenger with him, an interpreter, one among 1,000, to show unto men his uprightness, then he is gracious unto him, and saith, Deliver him from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom. His flesh shall be a fresher than a child's. He shall return to the days of his youth. He shall pray unto God, and he will be favorable unto him. And he shall see the face with joy, and he will render unto man his righteousness. He looketh upon men, and if any say, I have sinned, and perverted that which was not right, and it profited me not, he will deliver his soul from going into the pit, and his life shall see the light. Lo, all these things worketh God oftentimes with man, to bring back his soul from the pit, to be enlightened with the light of the living. Mark well, O Job, hearken unto me, hold thy peace, and I will speak. If thou hast anything to say, answer me, speak, for I desire to justify thee. If not, hearken unto me, and hold thy peace, and I shall teach thee wisdom. Furthermore, Elihushan answered and said, Hear my words, O ye wise men, and give ear unto me, that have knowledge. For the ear trieth words, as a mouth tasteth meat. Let us choose to us judgment. Let us know among ourselves what is good. For Job hath said, I am righteous, and God hath taken away my judgment. Should I lie against my right? My wound is incurable without transgression. What man is like Job, who drinketh up scorning like water, which goeth in company with the workers of iniquity, walketh with wicked men? For he hath said, It profiteth a man nothing that he should delight himself with God. Therefore hearken unto me, ye men of understanding. Far be it from God that he should do wickedness, and from the Almighty that he should commit iniquity. For the work of a man shall he render unto him, and the cause of every man find according to his ways. Yea, surely God will not do wickedly, neither will the Almighty pervert judgment. Who hath given him a charge over the earth? Or who hath disposed the whole world? If he set his heart upon man, if he would gather unto himself his spirit and his breath, all flesh shall perish together, and man shall turn again into dust. If now thou hast understanding, hear this, and hearken to the voice of my words. Shall even he that heareth right govern? And wilt thou condemn him that is most just? Is it fit to say to the king, Thou art wicked, and to the princes, Ye are ungodly? How much less to him that accepteth not the persons of princes, nor regardeth the rich more than the poor? For they are all the work of his hands. In a moment they shall die, and the people shall be troubled at midnight and pass away. And the mighty shall be taken away without hand, for his eyes are upon the ways of man, and he seeth all his goings. There is no darkness nor shadow of death where the workers of iniquity may hide themselves. For he will not lay upon man more than right, that he should enter into judgment with God. He shall break in pieces mighty men without number, and set others instead. Therefore he knoweth their works, and he overturneth them in the night, so they are destroyed. He striketh them as wicked men, and the open sight of others, because they are turned back for him, and would not consider his ways, so that they cause the cry of the poor to come unto him, and he heareth the cry of the afflicted. When he giveth quietness, who then can make the trouble? And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only, that the hypocrite reign not, lest the people be ensnared. Surely it is meet to be said unto God, I have borne chastisement, and I would not offend any more. That which I see not teach thou me. If I have done iniquity, will I do no more? Should it be according to thy mind, he will recompense it, whether thou refusest or whether thou choose, and not I. Therefore speak what thou knowest. Let man of understanding tell me, let a wise man hearken unto me. Job hath spoken without knowledge, and with his words are without wisdom. And my desire is that Job may be tried unto the end, because of his answers for the wicked man. For he addeth rebellion unto his sin. He clappeth his hand among us, and multiply his worth against God. Elihu spake moreover, and said, Thinkest thou this to be right? And thou sayest, My righteousness is more than God's? For thou sayest, What advantage will it be unto thee? What profit shall I have, if I be cleansed from my sin? I will answer thee and thy companions with thee. Look unto heavens, and see, and behold the clouds which are higher than thou. Thou sinnest, what doest thou against him? Or if thy transgressions be multiplied, what dost thou doest thou unto him? If thou be righteous, what giveth thou him? Or what receiveth he out of thine hand? Thy wickedness may hurt a man as thou art, and thy righteousness may profit the Son of Man. By reason of the multitude of oppressions they make the oppressed to cry. They cry out by the reason of the arm of the mighty. But none saith, Where is God my Maker? Who giveth songs in the night? Who teacheth us more than the beasts of the earth, and maketh us wiser than the fowls of heaven? There they cry out, but none giveth answer, because of the pride of evil men. Surely God will not hear vanity, neither will the Almighty regard it. Although thou sayest thou shalt not see him, yet judgment is before him, therefore trust thou in him. But now, because it is not so, he has visited in his anger, yet he knoweth it not in great extremity. Therefore doth Job open his mouth in vain, his multiplieth word without knowledge. Elihu proceeded and said, Suffer me a little, and I will show thee that I have yet to speak on God's behalf. I will fetch my knowledge from afar, and will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my word shall not be false. He that is perfect in knowledge is with thee. Behold, God is mighty, and despiseth not any. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He perverteth not the life of the wicked, but giveth life to the poor. He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but with the kings are they on the throne. Yea, he doth establish them forever, and they are exalted. And if they be bound in fetters, and be beholden on cords of affliction, then he showeth them their work, and their transgressions that they have exceeded. He openeth also their ears to discipline, and commandeth that they return from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasures. But if they do obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. But the hypocrites in heart heap up wrath. They cry not when he bindeth. They die in their youth, and their life is among the unclean. He delivereth the poor in his affliction, and openeth their ears in oppression. Even so would he have removed thee out of the strait into a broad place, where there is no straightness, that which should be set on the table, thy table should be full of fatness. But thou hast fulfilled the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take on thee, because there is wrath. Beware lest he take thee away with his stroke. Then a great ransom cannot deliver thee. Will he not esteem thy riches? No, not gold, nor all the forces of strength. Desire not night, when people are cut off from their place. Take heed and regard not iniquity. For this hast thou chosen rather than affliction. Behold, God exalteth by his power. Who can teacheth like him? Who hath enjoined him in his way? Who can say thou hast wrought iniquity? Remember that thou magnify his work, which men behold. Every man may see it. Men may behold it afar off. Behold, God is great, and we know him not. Neither can the number of his years be searched out. For he maketh the small drops of water. They pour down rain according to the vapor thereof, which the clouds do drop and distill upon man abundantly. They also can any regard the spreadings of the clouds or the noise of the tabernacle? Behold, he spreadeth his light upon it, and covereth the bottom of the sea. For by them judgeth he the people, and he giveth meat in abundance. With clouds he covereth the light, and commandeth it not to shine by the cloud that cometh betwixt. The noise thereof showeth concerning it, the cattle also concerning the vapor. At this also the heart trembleth, and is moved out of his place. Hear attentively the noise of his voice, and the sound that goeth out of his mouth. He directeth under the whole heaven, and his lightning unto the ends of the earth. After the voice roareth, he thundereth with the voice of his excellency, and he will not stay them when his voice is heard. God thundereth marvelously with his voice. Great things doth he, which we cannot comprehend. For he said to the snow, Be thou on the earth, likewise to the small rain and to the great rain of his strength. He seals up the hand of every man, that all men may know his work. Then the beasts go into dens and remain in their house. Out of the south cometh the whirlwind, cold out of the north. By the breath of God frost is given, and the breath of the waters is straitened. Also by watering he weareth the thick cloud. He scattereth his bright cloud, and it is turned round about by his counsels, that they may do whatever he commandeth them upon the face of the world and the earth. He causeth it to come, whether for correction or for the land or for mercy. Hearken unto this, O Job, and stand still, and consider the wondrous works of God. Dost thou not know when God disposed them, and caused the light of his cloud to shine? Dost thou know the balancing of the clouds? The wondrous works of him is perfect in knowledge. How thy garments are warm, and he quieteth the earth by the south wind. Hath thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong, and as a molten looking glass? Teach us what we shall say unto him, for we cannot order our speech by reason of darkness. Shall it be told him that I speak? If a man speak, surely he shall be swallowed up. And now men see not the bright light which is in the clouds, but the wind passeth and cleanseth them. Fair weather cometh out of the north. With God is terrible majesty. Touching the Almighty, we cannot find him out. He is excellent in power, and in judgment, and in plenty of justice he will not afflict. Men do therefore fear him. He respecteth not any that are wise of heart. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darketh counsel by the words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched out the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who shut up the sea with doors, when it brake forth as if it had issued out of the womb? When I had made the cloud of the garment thereof, and thick darkness, and a swaddling band for it, and break up for it my decreed place, and set bars and doors. And I said, Hereunto shalt thou come, but no further, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed. Hast thou commanded the morning since thy days, and caused the dayspring to know his place, that it may take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it? It is turned as clay in the seal. Then they spend the garment, and from the wicked their light is withholden, and the high arm shall be broken. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea, or hast thou walked up in the search of the depths? Have the gates of death been opened unto thee, or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth, Declare if thou knowest it all. Where is the way where light dwelleth? As for the darkness, where is the place thereof? And thou shouldest take it unto the bound thereof, that thou shouldest know it the paths of the house thereof. Knowest thou it, because thou was then born, or because the number of thy days is great? Hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow, or hast thou seen the treasures of the hall? Which I have reserved against thy time, the time of trouble, against the day of battle and the war. By what way is the light parted, which scattereth the east wind upon the earth? Who has divided a water courses of overflowing of waters, or a way of lightning or of thunder, to cause it to rain on the earth, where no man is, on the wilderness, wherein there is no man, to satisfy the desolate and waste ground, and to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth? Has the rain a father, or who hath begotten drops of dew, out of whose womb came ice, and the hoary frost of heaven, who has gendered it? The waters are hid with the stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazareth in his season, or canst thou guide Acaritus with its sons? Knowest thou in the ordinances of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof of the earth? Canst thou lift up the voice of the clouds, that the abundance of waters may cover thee? Canst thou send lightnings, that they may go, and say unto thee, here are we? Who hath put wisdom in the inward parts, or who hath given understanding to the heart? Who can number the clouds in wisdom, or who can say to the bottles of heaven, when the dust groweth into the hardness, and the clods cleave fast together? Wilt thou hunt the prey for the lion, or fill the appetite of young lions, when they crouch their dens and abide in the covert to lie in wait? Who provideth the raven his food? When the young ones cry unto God, they wander for lack of meat. Knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or canst thou mark when the hinds do cleave? Canst thou number the months that they fulfill? Or knowest thou the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth the young ones, they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in good liking, they grow up with corn. They go forth and return not unto them. Who hath sent out the wild ass free? Who hath loosed the bands of the wild ass? Whose house have I made the wilderness, and the barren land of his dwellings? Scorneth the multitude of the city, neither regardeth he the crying of the driver. The range of the mountains is his pasture. He searcheth after every green thing. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee, or abide thy crib? Canst thou bind the unicorn with the band of the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Wilt thou trust him, because his strength is great? Or wilt thou leave thy labor to him? Wilt thou believe him, that he will bring home thy seed, and gather it into his barn? Gavest thou the godly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich? Which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them. She is hardened against her young ones, though they were not hers. Her labor is the vain without fear, because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. What time she lifteth up herself on high, she scorneth the horse and his rider. Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou closed his neck with thunder? Canst thou make him afraid of a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is terrible. He pawneth in the valley, and rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed men. He mocketh at fear, and is not affrighted, neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, and the glittering spear and the shield. He swalloweth up the ground with fierceness and rage, neither believeth he that is the sound of the trumpet. He saith among the trumpets, Ha ha, and he smelleth the battle afar off, thunder of the captains, and shouting. Doth not the hawk by thy wisdom, and stretch her wings towards the earth? Does the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her set on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock. upon a crag of the rock, in the strong place. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold afar off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is she. Moreover, the Lord answered Job and said, Shall he that contendeth with the Almighty instruct him? He that reproveth God, let him answer it. Then Job answered the Lord and said, Behold, I am vile. What shall I answer thee? Will I lay my hand upon my mouth? Once I have spoken, but I will not answer. Yea, twice I will proceed no further. Then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind, and said, Gird up thy loins now like a man, and I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. Wilt thou not disannul my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me, that thou mayest be righteous? Hast thou an arm like God? Or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad thy rage for thy wrath, and behold every one that is proud, and abase him. Look on every one that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Then will I also confess unto thee that thine own right hand can save thee. Behold, now Bemoth, which I have made with thee, he eateth grass like an ox. Lo, now his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar, and his sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong as pieces of brass, his bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of God. He that made him can make his sword to approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the shady trees in the covert of the reed and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass him round about. Behold, he drinketh up like a river, and hasteth not. He trusteth that he can draw up the Jordan unto his mouth. He taketh it with his eyes, and his noise pierceth through snares. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put a hook unto his nose, or bone his jaw through with the thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with the bird? Wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him. Remember the battle. Do no more. Behold, hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor of his comely proportion. Who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come to him with the double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a close seal. No one is so near another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together that they cannot be sundered. By his nesting a light doth shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of morning go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke, as out of the seeing the pot or cauldron. His beneath kindleth coals, and a flame goes out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of the flesh are joined together, and they are firm in themselves. They cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone, yea, as a hard piece of neither millstone. When he raiseth himself, the mighty are afraid. By reason breakings they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold, the spear, the dart, nor the habergeon. He esteemeth the iron as a straw, and brass as a rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are tuned with him into stubble. Darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of anointment. He makes a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Upon the earth there is not his like. Who is without who is made without fear. He beholdeth all all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything, that no thought can be withholden from thee. Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Therefore have I uttered that I understood not, the things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. I beseech thee, and I will speak, and demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee by thy hearing of the ear, but now mine I see thee. Wherefore I abhor myself, and repent in dust and ashes. And it was so, that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, My wrath is kindled against thee, and against thy two friends, for ye have not spoken of me the things that is right, as my servant Job hath. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, and that ye have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamanite went and did according to the Lord commanded them, and the Lord also accepted Job. And the Lord turned to the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there unto him all his brethren and all his sisters, and all that had been his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him, and comforted him over all the evil the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yokes, and 1,000 she-asses, and had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. He called the name of the first Jemina, and the name of the second Kizada, and the name of the third Keren-Happukkah. And in all the land were no woman found so fair that as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. And after this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons, his sons' sons, and even 4 generations. So Job died, being old and full of days.